What's going on YouTube? So the Chevy Tahoe has long been the benchmark full-size SUV, and we spent the last week living with this latest 2026 example.
So what's new this year, and is it still a great pick in the full-size space?
Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's kick things off here with a spec dump. So under the hood of the Tahoe, you've got a few different powertrain selections. We've got the top dog, the 6.2 liter V8 engine with 420 horsepower. It's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and with the four-wheel drive system, our combined fuel economy is 16 mpg.
Now the base price of the Tahoe this year is $61,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now this of course is a real-world 7-day review. We lived with this model, so we have things to share such as our experienced fuel economy as well as our impressions after this week.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to jump into the exterior and the luxurious interior. Now, of course, one of the things that I think has really made the Tahoe such a successful product year after year is the fact that it has this very handsome design overall. And that, of course, continues for 2026. It was recently updated, and things like this fully loaded High Country have some special details with our grille. So you'll notice that this grille is mostly gloss black. We've got these very detailed silver accents that run through the middle, giving it also a high-end design as well. Also high-end is our lighting elements over here on the side. You can see we've got our daytime running light turn signal indicator up there at the top. By the way, you do have animations if you get the Premier trim or above. Then you've got this section here, also a daytime running light with our projector LED headlight as standard equipment on all Tahoes. Down here in the lower section, you have LED fog lights as well. And as far as ground clearance, it does vary depending on if you have the air suspension or not. And as we move around to the back of the Tahoe, we've got some nice looking elements here as well.
Absolutely, and as far as individual design touches, we have the spoiler up here at the top, the wipers integrated underneath, which is nice because it prevents it from being weathered, and then you have this black piece going through the rear. That was added last year for the refresh, and of course that connects the taillights. So let's see how premium the taillights are. Well, you have the clear lens on board, and these are fully LED taillights. I'm happy to tell you that. That includes your brake light, your turn signal, and your reverse light. Also, you get the animations on the Premier trim and above. And then as we drop down to the lower area, you'll get exposed exhaust outlets as well, which is one thing I really like. And if you get the High Country, you get the square tipped exhaust outlets to kind of give you that little bit more premium look. As far as the tow rating, it comes in at 8,200 to 8,400 pounds.
Next up, we have our wheels. You got several selections from 18 to 24-inch alloys. We also have some new designs for 2026. This is the High Country, as I mentioned earlier. It does mean you can get up to 24-inch alloys, which are absolutely massive for the segment. We actually today, though, have the optional high contrast 22-inch alloys for a little bit more of a unique look. Now, of course, you got very prominent High Country branding. This trim comes with body color finish. You can get a chrome finish on the Premier trim. And as far as the features, fully loaded as you'd expect, including auto dimming on the driver's side and power folding.
Now here at the side of the Tahoe, of course you can see this is one big SUV, 211 inches in length to be exact. And of course they offer the Suburban as well, which extends that up to about 226 inches in length if you need the maximum amount of space. As far as design touches, we have a little bit of chrome on our window surrounds. Of course we have the roof rails up there at the top. And as far as 2026 changes, we do have a new additional polar white color that will replace a previous white that was offered last year. Now as far as your safety systems, Chevy is giving you all of those active safety features as standard equipment. I'm happy to tell you that. Now, the only caveat to that is that Super Cruise will be offered on trims LT and above. So it's optional even here on this High Country model. However, I will say it is a very advanced system that we certainly enjoyed living with this week, especially on longer road trips. But guys, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the interior, so let's get into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, on to the inside. Here's our key fob. It's your typical Chevy fob with smart entry and remote start, both being standard equipment. Press the button there to unlock the door. We also have the power deploying running boards, as you can see, and the truck itself lowers with the air suspension to make getting in easier. Now, let's check out the inside. Like I was talking about, the High Country does deliver some special luxuries, and that really begins with the seats. We have a special perforated leather. As you can see, it's quite detailed. We also have the black and mocha color scheme, so you can see that in the stitching details and the piping, as well as High Country branding up there in the headrest. Now, the adjustments are just 12-way adjustable, so you don't have a lot of those, and you also don't get massaging. That's going to be Yukon and Escalade exclusive. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, fully inside, let's get into the rest of the materials. Starting on the door trim, we have a leatherette covering all through here with the perforated design right in the center, and a full leatherette covering even on the top part with some real wood accenting. As we move to the upper dashboard, pretty much all of this is covered in a leatherette with also a perforated design, special High Country branding, and then again more of that genuine wood here on the High Country going across the dashboard. There's no wood in the center tunnel area, just some piano black, but it is going to be nicely padded along the console there for your knee to rest against. And we'll fire it up now with push button start. Now, jumping right in with our features and details, we've got our gauge cluster. This is the 11-inch digital gauge cluster like many GM products. Right now we have it in the full screen map view, but you can also cycle between a ton of other options, from minimalistic to a lot of information. Now also we've got the 15-inch head-up display, which is absolutely fantastic, really large and bold graphics. That's standard on High Country, available on the Premier. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, we've got the leather wrap steering wheel. We do have specific High Country branding with the cross stitching, and it is power tilt and telescoping, as well as heated on your upper end examples. And this is a big boy after all, so let's get into the interior storage. Opening up the console here, you're going to see it loaded down with donuts. We like to do our Car Confections signature donut test, and today we've got 19 donuts inside, which is quite good. Obviously, it's not the full 24 donuts, and I'll show you why, because we've got the available sliding console here, which means instead of having this go all the way down like it does in certain models, instead they cut it in half and give you this hidden storage drawer. So that's where you can stick your valuables or anything you want to hide from your kids or something like that. Now in front of that, you've got another storage area. You've got a couple USB connections. Most models come with a wireless phone charging pad. You have a little bit of storage along both sides of the console, but it is not a pass-through space, nor is there a passenger storage shelf. The shifters up here on the column. Pull down for drive, you have paddle shifters. And flick up for reverse to reveal our standard 360-degree camera system on every single Tahoe for 2026. As you can see, you got a few different views that you can choose between. Resolution is fine, although I will say it's a little bit small since the screen is so big. They could have certainly enlarged the picture. Just press the P there for park. As we move down to this section, you can see we've got our climate controls. It's a 3-zone automatic setup on all Tahoes. Very simple to adjust the temperature up and down, and then you have physical controls for your main functions, although some additional functions are up here in the lower part of the touchscreen. The two of the main additional functions that you'll probably be accessing are the heated seats, which are standard on LT and above, and then you also have ventilated seats standard on Premier and above. Another control is the volume knob for the audio systems embedded into the screen itself. So lower trims come with a 6-speaker sound system, upper trims come with the 10-speaker Bose sound system. Let's give it a quick sample on that high-end Bose system. Overall sound quality is pretty decent. It does fill up the cabin nicely and it has plenty of bass, although the price tag, as you'll see later on, is quickly approaching 6 figures, so you might expect to have a little bit of a higher end sound system on board or some metal speaker grills, something like that. All right, let's zero in with our technology now. We've got the 17-inch display with the Tahoe. This is a really nice display. Over the course of this past week, we've had no glitches or anything with it. It is really fast performing as soon as you fire up the vehicle. This is our built-in Google Maps system. You also have other Google apps built in, and you have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. Rising up, we've got one more screen. This is our digital camera rear view mirror, standard on the High Country grade, available on your lower trims. And then let me go ahead and slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. This is optional on pretty much all the trims. So even this High Country, you do need to select this as an optional feature, but the front panel does open up.
All right, and let's check out the rear seat area of the Tahoe. Of course, this is perhaps even more important than the front areas because you're going to be spending probably a lot of time with family back here. As far as the legroom figures, let's go ahead and hit that first and foremost. 42 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom. Those are going to be both very good numbers. It is very much on par with its main rivals, such as the Ford Expedition and, of course, its other GM vehicles like the Yukon and Escalade. Now, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference, and we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is so you can get a realistic knee room figure, and we're sitting at really good 10.5 inches of additional knee room. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of the seats. Speaking of the seats, they can slide forward and back a decent distance, and they also can recline a really good distance as well. So I could imagine you could take some pretty good naps on road trips. Now, here in the back, you'll notice that we have captain's chairs on this particular model. You can get bench seating if you would prefer to have that extra seat to increase your maximum capacity up to 8 passengers. As tested today, we're sitting at 7 passengers. Here in the center, we have 2 cup holders up here at the top. I like that they're conveniently located. Down below, we have our own climate controls, and if you get a Premier or above, you will get the heated back seats. Down below, we have 2 USBs, 2 HDMIs, and even a household-style outlet, so no excuse for not keeping things charged up. And then let's take a look at the screens as well, because we do have the optional rear seat entertainment. It's around $2,200, and this is going to have an Android software. It definitely has some nice graphics on board, and you can do things such as watch Car Confections in the back, so that's certainly something that I would appreciate. Now, over on the door trim, let's take a look at that. No sunshades. I'm really disappointed that there's no sunshades, but we don't have any of those. It's nicely appointed when it comes to materials, You have wood trim all through there, and you also have quite a lot of door storage down in the very bottom. Let's head to the third row. So in order to get back here, all you have to do is grab this little lever right here. That's going to fold the seat down, and then once more, we'll release it up and out of place. I'm a new father, so this kind of bothers me because you would have to remove a child seat, so keep that in mind if you have one installed. That's not going to be a great folding mechanism. I'd prefer the tilt and slide setup. Now, let's go ahead and head back into the third row. Oh yeah, this is a fantastic third row. It always has been. It will continue this year. We're sitting at about 35 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. If you get the Suburban instead of the Tahoe, you can expand that to about 36 inches, so you get a little bit extra room back here. But this seat is slid all the way back, and as you can see, I still have 2 inches of additional knee space, so it's really plenty spacious. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, and the thigh support is actually really quite good in this model. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I think that's still kind of the class leader. That and the Expedition are slightly better than this, but this is still really, really good. You have 3 seats back here in the third row. As far as features, you have a little bit of a pad here, a cup holder, a USB port, and then you also have vents coming out of the ceiling. You are missing that center headrest, and honestly, for this price point, I would like to see features such as third row seat heating available, but you're not going to have that on this model. As far as how it rates on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is absolutely fit for adults. Let's check out the cargo area. In order to get back here, a power tailgate, it starts on the LT trim. If you get the Premier, you also get the hands-free ability. You can additionally pop the rear glass independently if you'd rather load in that way. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity for the Tahoe. So what we're sitting at is 25 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats. If we fold those seats down, 72 cubic feet, and as a maximum, 123 cubic feet. Those are really quite fantastic numbers. And also, if that's not enough for you, you could just also get the Suburban, and that expands it to 145 cubic feet as a maximum. So that's certainly very good. Now, compared to its competition, that is going to be very much on par, if not one of the class leaders. And speaking of all of its rivals, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the full-size SUVs, things like the Expedition, the Grand Wagoneer, the GMC Yukon, and ranked them in individual categories such as cargo space, the third row, interior luxury, powertrain choices, and value. And you can sort the list and see what might be the best options depending on which category is most important to you. So make an informed buying decision and check out our tool at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now over here on the side, you'll see that we have a power folding third row. So you just quickly press that. That's going to fold the third row down, and then you can also electronically release the second row back here. The power folding third row is not standard on all models, but it is on the upper end examples. Now let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. It's a Car Confections review after all. Behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, 89 inches of cargo length is what you can expect. Behind the second row, with it slid most of the way back, about 52 inches of length. And then from behind the third row, about 20 inches of length. As far as the opening, very good, 49 inches wide. The cargo height, 33 inches tall, that's fantastic. And then let's also get the wind is very windy today, get our load-in height. That's going to be sitting right at 34 inches as our load-in height. Now, I do want to point out the air suspension will automatically lower, so it would get quite a bit lower. I'm not sure why it didn't go ahead and do that automatically, but it does get lower than that. Underneath the floor, you have a little bit of extra space, and then there's also a spare tire integrated underneath of the bumper. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Chevy Tahoe. We'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we need to start with a hard acceleration.
All right, 60 miles an hour. It does just kind of put a smile on your face to stomp the 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8.
It never ges old. Like a million times.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, like, you know, pretty much most of the rivals have moved on to 6 cylinders, but we've got a V8, like I said, 6.2 V8, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. So it's got a lot of power on board as well. 0 to 60, 5.8 seconds. So this is a big SUV, but it will move. You know, it is a little behind some of its newest competitors, again, with those turbocharged 6-cylinder engines, but this one has more character overall, and I think a lot of people really care about that in this category of SUV.
Absolutely. There's something about getting in this truck and just having that commanding presence. You sit up really tall off the ground and then you stomp the throttle, hear that commanding V8 sound. It really is a special experience, I will say, and that has really only gotten better with time as some of the rivals have switched. Now, there are 2 other engine options that you can get in the Tahoe family. You can see those on the screen right now. It starts with the 5.3 V8, and you also have a diesel option if you'd prefer to get that. We've actually had both of those as well and tested those out extensively, and quite frankly, both of those options are very good engine choices as well. The 0 to 60 on the 5.3 is 6.7 seconds.
Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got a 10-speed automatic. As we've said in many past GM reviews with their truck products, it's a very smooth transmission. It's really good at dropping multiple gears at once to keep you in the power band.
Yeah, and as far as how power is routed to the ground, you have standard 2-wheel drive on every version besides the Z71, or available 4-wheel drive optionally. But guys, we are on our designated strip of road to talk about ride quality, so let's get into that. So there's quite a few technologies on board to help this Tahoe out. So you have magnetic ride control, and that's going to be included on Premier trims and above. And then we also have the further option of an air suspension. That's even optional here on the High Country. It's in the deluxe package. And when you select both of those things, I have to say your ride quality is really phenomenal. Living with this vehicle for the past week, you hit all types of road imperfections, and it does a great job of just isolating those out and making sure that you feel very minimal intrusions into the cabin. Also, the truck-like vibrations that you typically get within this segment and things like a Sequoia or things like that certainly are just not present at all in this Tahoe. So I'm very impressed. And the 22s on the outside as compared to the 24s, I think are pretty noticeable when it comes to ride quality difference.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this really just kind of rides like it's not even a body-on-frame SUV at all at this point, but of course, you still have all that extra capability and towing.
All right, let's get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. We have it on fan speed 1, so we can see how quiet the Tahoe is. Excellent. 54.5 decibels is what we're sitting at. We don't sit here and guess how it compares to its rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is right around what you're going to find in previous Suburbans and Tahoes that we've tested on our channel. It's not quite the quietest thing. The Ford Expedition and the Toyota Sequoia, as well as the Armada, tested a little bit quieter on this exact same strip of road. So keep that in mind if you're looking for the quietest cabin. And moving along, let's discuss fuel economy. So what we're sitting at for this particular model, it's a 6.2 with the four-wheel drive system. That's 16 miles per gallon combined. You can see the full lineup of fuel economies on the screen right now. There's quite a few different engines that you can pick from. The best fuel economy is, of course, going to be had with the diesel option. And what did we get this week after spending the last 7 days driving it? We drove 278 miles. Now, a lot of that, I would say 75% of that was on the highway. So that, of course, increases your fuel economy. We're sitting at 17.5 miles per gallon is our real-world experienced fuel economy, which does mean it's right around that EPA estimate of 18 miles per gallon combined. So I would definitely expect to be getting that fuel economy figure. And since this is certainly a little bit of a gas hog, if you want to keep more cash in your pocket, you might want to download Upside, a free cashback app. We routinely use Upside to save 10, 20, even 30 cents a gallon on gas in our area. It's super convenient and easy to use, and as an added bonus, Upside is offering Car Confections viewers an extra 25 cents off per gallon of gas on your first tank by scanning the QR code on the screen or using the code CarConfections25 when you sign up. There's a link in the video description as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video.
All right, airball and slam dunk time. I'll start with the slam dunk. That's going to be how well-rounded this Tahoe is. I think that's why year after year this continues to sell so well, because it really does check a lot of boxes for both things that people need when they have a big SUV like this and also things that people want.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, the airball is going to be, well, I think Chevy knows that, and they're indeed making the price very expensive. This particular tester is sitting at $97,000. We'll do full pricing in just a second, but that is a lot of money, that is for sure, and it is outpacing that of even its main rivals, which are also very expensive. So what about the price? Well, we start at $60,700 for the LS with two-wheel drive. Now, of course, that price elevates up very quickly depending on what trim level you select. This High Country starts at $80,700. Add four-wheel drive as well as the deluxe package like our model. And all told, our particular tester, as tested today after destination, is sitting at $96,800. So that's certainly pretty expensive. If you're curious as to where it's manufactured, it is manufactured in Arlington, Texas. And if you're looking to buy one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealership negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find all of that at carconfections.com. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale reliability and the warranty. First up, let's talk about resale value. Chevy as a brand is rated at 54.7% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 20.4%. Those are above industry average for all brands. However, it is still a little bit less than some of the Japanese rivals such as Toyota.
Now, the same can also be said about reliability. Using our latest data for our combined reliability index, Chevy is rated above industry average against all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability or resale values, be sure to visit carconfections.com. Now, let's talk about the warranties. You have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do also get your first service visit covered complimentary. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2026 Chevy Tahoe High Country. If you enjoyed hearing our week-long impressions about this model, we'd really appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of videos I promise you won't want to miss out on. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.